So it's the end of Wednesday, and today was Polar Bear Day, and this is the day that I was probably the most nervous about, because Polar Bear Day involved the shooting range. So the day consisted of 3 parts: a theoretical part, some time spent at the rifle range, and then some time spent out in the open, trying to spot polar bear, fake polar bears if you like. I'm going to summarize the theoretical part very quickly. So polar bears are no joke. They're big. The males can weigh up to 600 kilo. They can travel huge distances, annually easily over 5,000 kilometers, and they can do it in any terrain. Mountains, glaciers, water, you name it. They can swim, they can run. When running, they can get up to 40 kilometers an hour. Because they're at the top of the food chain, they are by nature very curious, but also unpredictable and not very scared. The world is about 25,000 polar bears. Of these 25,000, 3,000 are in the Barents Sea area, which includes Svalbard. But the Barents Sea area is huge, so this idea that Svalbard has more polar bears than people is kind of misleading. More illustrative statistic is that Spitsbergen, the island in the archipelago where Longyearbyen is, has 250 polar bears. Now, that's obviously a lot less than 3,000, but it's still a lot of polar bears, and it's not that big of an island. And so they are sighted regularly. And so every year, once or twice, typically, they have a polar bear sighting in town, walking along the street. Now, since 1971, about 6 people have died from polar bear attacks, and a further 10 have been injured. In the past 30 years, the University Centre in Svalbard has shot 1 polar bear. So we have quite a lot of encounters, and each encounter has the potential to be very dangerous, but fortunately they tend to result in outcomes that are favourable for all members involved, polar included. And this is something that that has been a lot of effort has been put towards, because polar bears are an endangered species, and shooting them is very much illegal. So this is very briefly the theory part. At the time of the rifle range, there was a little bit of time spent firing flares, the purpose of which is to scare polar bears. So if you see one and you can't retreat and get away from it, but the polar bear keeps coming at you, fast or slowly, you try and scare it by shooting flares and making noise. And then the majority of the time at the rifle range was obviously spent on shooting rifles. The requirement to pass this part of the course was to first of all demonstrate good attitude towards firearms, and secondly to shoot at a 40 centimeter target from 35 meters 4 times in a row, something which turns out is pretty easy. Now, today focused a lot on shooting polar bears, but also and that, you know, if you're in a life-threatening situation, then you should shoot the polar bear instead of laying down and being eaten. But also a lot of effort was put, rightly so, was put on the fact that they are an endangered species. Their natural habitat is slowly being destroyed by humans, and that shooting them is also something that should not be taken lightly. If you shoot a polar bear, you will be asked by the authorities what you did to try and prevent the situation from escalating to a point where you had to shoot it. So yeah, it's I had a lot of feelings and emotions about being at the rifle range. It was the first time for me. I'm not going to go into them in too much detail, but what I will say is that if you've never shot a gun or even had someone shoot a gun next to you, it's quite different when it actually happens, and it hammers really home the power and potential for violence that firearms have. It was interesting experience on many levels. But then the day concluded with our third exercise, which was in the field. They had set up dummy polar bears, plywood cutouts in the shape of polar bear, painted white, that we then had to go and encounter in the field. And it was astounding that a white 600 kilo mammal can be incredibly difficult to spot, especially if you're in Svalbard and it's pitch black and windy and you're feeling a bit cold and there's snow going in all the directions, and it's. And then the second dummy polar bear encounter was then towed at us at 40 kilometers an hour. And so 40 kilometers an hour means that every second the polar bear advances 10 meters. And when it's coming at you at 10 meters every second, even though it's a plywood cutout, it's coming at you fast, and it's. So yeah, polar bears are no joke, but fortunately a lot of effort has been put towards us dealing with polar bear encounters in ways that are favourable to all attendees. Yeah, and rightly so, because it's not like the polar bears have a very easy time either. But yeah, today was very interesting. I've just had dinner at my room. And soon I'm off about to go and explore the Longyearbyen nightlife, so that should be at least as exciting as the polar bear training. I will let you know how it goes tomorrow. Bye bye.